you ever noticed that no matter what you achieve, it's never enough? You thought the new job would finally make you happy. It didn't. You thought the relationship would end your loneliness. It didn't. You thought the money, the car, the recognition would silence the hunger inside you. But within weeks, sometimes days, the satisfaction faded. And then the craving for something else began. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher of pessimism, called this the trap of desire, and his claim was brutal. You will never be satisfied because human desire is designed to keep you restless. It's not an accident. It's not a flaw. It's the nature of life itself. Desire doesn't end when you get what you want. Desire just shifts its target. One hunger is replaced by another. One craving fulfilled, 10 more are born. And in this endless treadmill of chasing, Schopenhauer saw the core of human suffering. His philosophy begins with a single insight. Desire is endless. We believe that happiness lies in fulfilling our wants, but fulfillment is always temporary. The moment the desire is satisfied, the joy evaporates, leaving boredom, emptiness, or a new craving in its place. It's why millionaires still want more money, why successful men still want more recognition, why love stories that promise happily ever after so often collapse in disappointment. For Schopenhauer, this cycle was not just psychology, it was metaphysics. He believed that behind every human action lies what he called the will, a blind, insatiable force that drives us to keep wanting, keep chasing, keep hungering. The will doesn't care about your peace. It doesn't care about your fulfillment. Its only purpose is to perpetuate the chase. This is why the satisfaction of desire is always an illusion. It feels permanent, but it's already fading the moment you grasp it. Think about your own life. How many times have you thought, if I just had this one thing, I'd finally be content? Only to find that contentment never lasted. How many times have you worked toward a goal, achieved it, and then almost immediately asked, what's next? How many times have you realized that the anticipation was sweeter than the reality? Schopenhauer would say, of course, because the game was rigged from the start. Modern life proves his philosophy with brutal clarity. Social media, advertising, entertainment, they all feed the cycle of craving. They tell you happiness is always one purchase away, one achievement away, one relationship away. But the moment you grab it, the pleasure fades. The hunger returns. It's not a bug, it's the system. Schopenhauer called this the tragedy of human existence. We are condemned to want. To live is to crave. To crave is to suffer. And even when we escape suffering for a moment, the emptiness of boredom strikes, which is its own kind of pain. You think you're in control of your desires. You think you're choosing what to want, the career, the woman, the car, the life. But Schopenhauer had a darker message. You're not the master of your desires. You're the servant. He believed that every craving you feel, every goal you chase, every obsession that grips you, they're not really yours. They are the commands of something deeper, something invisible, something that controls you without your consent. He called it the will. For Schopenhauer, the will is not just human willpower. It is the force of life itself. It is blind. It is irrational. It is insatiable. The will drives all living things, plants reaching for the sun, animals hunting for food, humans chasing power, love, wealth, and status. It is the engine behind every heartbeat, every hunger, every desire. And here's the brutal part. The will doesn't care about your happiness. Its only purpose is to keep you desiring, to keep you striving, to keep you moving. You are not living freely. You are being pulled along by a leash you cannot see. Think about it. Why do you crave validation, even when you know it's shallow? Why do you chase pleasures that leave you empty? Why do you return to habits you swore you'd quit? Schopenhauer would say, because the will is stronger than you. Modern psychology has confirmed what he intuited 200 years ago. We now know that dopamine, the brain's chemical of wanting, fires not when you get something, but when you anticipate it. It's the chase that hooks you, not the reward. That's why scrolling endlessly through your phone feels compulsive. Why the thrill of pursuit and love often fades after conquest. Why goals achieved often feel anticlimactic. The will keeps dangling the carrot, and you keep running, never realizing you're trapped. Schopenhauer believed this is why humans suffer more than animals. Animals follow the will instinctively, but humans are conscious enough to realize the futility of the chase, and yet too enslaved to stop it. This is the root of human tragedy. We know we're trapped, but we can't escape the trap. For Schopenhauer, happiness is not the natural state of man. Suffering is. Why? Because happiness is always conditional. It exists only when a desire is satisfied. But once that satisfaction is achieved, the desire disappears. And with it, the happiness vanishes too. In other words, desire creates suffering. Fulfillment creates relief, not true happiness. Fulfillment fades, creating boredom. Boredom creates new desire, which also creates new suffering. This endless cycle is the human condition. All striving springs from want or deficiency, from dissatisfaction with one's condition, is therefore suffering so long as it is not satisfied. But no satisfaction is lasting. Rather, it is always merely the starting point of fresh striving. Schopenhauer. This means the moments we call happiness are not deep fulfillment. They are brief pauses in suffering. They are like gulps of air before being dragged back underwater. The more we chase pleasure, the more restless we become. Because each achievement, each thrill, each indulgence delivers less than it promised. The anticipation is always stronger than the reality. Think about modern life. The buzz of a new purchase fades in days. The rush of a new relationship cools after months. The excitement of achieving a goal evaporates as soon as the next goal appears. This is why billionaires still feel empty. Why celebrities spiral into addiction despite having everything. Why ordinary people grind for decades only to reach success and whisper, "Is this all there is?" Schopenhauer believed this is the curse of consciousness. Animals suffer desires too, but when satisfied, they rest. Humans never rest. We reflect, anticipate, imagine, and in doing so, we multiply our suffering. Love is supposed to be the highest of human experiences. We write poems about it, build movies around it, sacrifice careers and fortunes for it. People say love is what makes life meaningful. But Schopenhauer cut through this illusion with a knife. He said, love is not noble, not spiritual, not even about happiness. Love is a biological trick, and it is the cruelest trap of all. Because what you think is romance, passion, or destiny is actually the blind will using you to keep the species alive. Schopenhauer's view of love is as dark as it gets. He argued that romantic desire is nothing but the will to reproduce disguised as true love. When you fall in love, you believe you're making a free, personal choice. But according to Schopenhauer, you are simply obeying instincts written into you by the will. That magnetic pull toward someone? Not magic. Biology? That feeling of, I can't live without her. Not soulmates. Genetic compulsion. That obsession that makes men fight, suffer, even die for love. Not nobility. It's the will ensuring reproduction at any cost. And here's the cruel twist. The will doesn't care about your happiness. You might marry, sacrifice, devote your life to someone, only to discover the desire fades once reproduction is possible or the chase is over. That's why so many relationships collapse, why passion cools, why happily ever after so often becomes disappointment. Because once the will achieves its aim, it no longer needs to keep you in chains. This is why Schopenhauer said romance is the ultimate illusion. It promises fulfillment, but delivers suffering. It makes men weak, obsessive, self-destructive, all in service to something they cannot even see. Modern life proves him right. People swiping endlessly on dating apps, driven by a hunger they can't satisfy. Men ruining themselves financially and emotionally, chasing women who never loved them back. Lovers turning bitter enemies once the intoxication fades. We still dress love up in poetry and songs, but Schopenhauer's question is haunting. Is it really love, or just the will manipulating you? Even worse, he said the tragedy is unavoidable, because the will doesn't ask for permission. It hijacks your body, your emotions, your mind. You can resist for a while, but once the right trigger appears, the illusion descends, and you call it falling in love. It's not falling, it's being captured. That's why Schopenhauer considered romantic desire the cruelest trap of all. It gives the illusion of meaning while stealing your freedom. It binds men to suffering disguised as beauty. If desire is endless, if the will traps you in a cycle of suffering, is there any escape? Schopenhauer's answer was shocking. Yes, but not in the way you think. You don't escape by getting more. You don't escape by chasing harder. You don't even escape by winning the game of life. You escape by refusing to play. Schopenhauer believed that the only path out of suffering is to weaken and eventually silence the will. How? By denying its power over you. By stepping away from the compulsions it plants in your mind. By refusing to let desire dictate your life. This isn't about quitting life. It's about breaking free from the endless treadmill of craving. Schopenhauer pointed to three main paths of escape. 1. Art and aesthetic experience. This is when you lose yourself in music, painting, or beauty. You momentarily forget your cravings. In those moments of pure absorption, desire is silenced. You're not wanting. You're simply being. 2. Compassion and ethics. Schopenhauer saw compassion as the highest moral act because it meant transcending selfish desire. When you live for others, the will's grip loosens, if only briefly. 3. Asceticism and renunciation. This is the most radical path, deliberately turning away from the pleasures and cravings of life. He admired monks, mystics, and sages who denied the will. Through self-discipline, simplicity, even suffering. For him, the ultimate liberation was quieting. Desire until it no longer ruled the soul. In this, Schopenhauer was deeply influenced by Eastern philosophy, Buddhism in particular. Like the Buddha, he believed suffering arises from craving, and like the Buddha, he saw liberation in letting go. But Schopenhauer's version is starker, colder, more European. For him, the highest state wasn't joy, but peace. Not more life, but release from life's endless hunger. And here's where his philosophy divides men. For some, this feels like despair. A call to withdraw, to renounce, to abandon the fire of living. For others, it's a kind of brutal clarity. A reminder that the only true freedom comes when desire no longer owns you. What matters is this. Schopenhauer believed escape is possible, not by chasing happiness, but by seeing through the illusion of desire and choosing something higher. The man who negates the will is no longer its slave. He sees desire rise, and he does not obey. He steps outside the cycle of hunger and boredom, if only for a moment. That, Schopenhauer said, is the closest a man can come to true freedom. Most men hear Schopenhauer's philosophy and collapse into despair. If desire is endless, if happiness is an illusion, if life is suffering, what's the point of living? But Schopenhauer never said life was meaningless. He said life was dangerous, and only the man who sees through the illusions can live it with strength. Because once you recognize the trap of desire, you are no longer blindly enslaved to it. Schopenhauer's philosophy is brutal, but it's also liberating. Yes, desire never ends. Yes, the will enslaves you. Yes, happiness is fleeting. But by knowing this, you gain something most men never have: clarity. Think about it. Most men waste decades chasing illusions. The illusion that success will finally silence their restlessness. The illusion that romance will finally heal their emptiness. The illusion that wealth, fame, or power will finally make them whole. But if you accept Schopenhauer's truth, you stop chasing shadows. You stop running blindly. You begin to live differently. Here's what that looks like. 1. Conscious desire, where you no longer mistake desire for salvation. You can still pursue goals, relationships, success, but without the illusion that they will complete you. You play the game of life as a free man, not a slave. 2. Strength in simplicity, where instead of being consumed by endless cravings, you begin to value peace, stillness, and simplicity. The man who needs less is the man who cannot be controlled. 3. Freedom through awareness, where every time a new craving arises, instead of being pulled helplessly, you can ask, do I want this, or does the will want this for me? That single question can save you years of wasted chasing. This is where Schopenhauer's philosophy flips from pessimism to power. Because the man who accepts the brutal truth becomes stronger than the man who hides behind illusions. He is harder to manipulate, harder to enslave, harder to break. Think about how this applies today. Social media can't trap you if you see it for what it is: manufactured cravings. Consumer culture can't enslave you if you know happiness isn't for sale. Toxic relationships can't dominate you if you realize love is not salvation, only desire disguised. Schopenhauer didn't offer hope in the way other philosophers did. He offered something rarer: the courage to see life as it is. And in that clarity lies strength. Because the man who knows desire is endless cannot be destroyed by it. He lives with open eyes, choosing consciously rather than running blindly. That man has already won a freedom most will never taste. So now you see it, the trap of desire, the invisible will, the illusion of happiness, the cruel trick of love, the doom that stalks every man who chases endlessly. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat it. Life is suffering because life is desire. And yet, seeing this truth is not weakness. It is strength. Most men live as slaves to cravings they don't even understand. They burn decades chasing shadows, mistaking the next job, the next woman, the next success for salvation. And in the end, they die restless, unsatisfied, deceived, but you don't have to. Schopenhauer's gift is clarity. He rips away the illusions and shows you the game for what it is. And once you see the truth, you have a choice. You can keep running like everyone else. Blind, restless, enslaved. Or you can stand still, open your eyes, and live with strength, no longer a pawn of the will, but a man who knows the rules of the game. That doesn't mean giving up on life. It means living consciously. It means no longer expecting happiness to come from outside yourself. It means choosing goals, love, work, and meaning on your own terms, knowing their limits, refusing their chains. This is where Schopenhauer's pessimism transforms into power. Because when you no longer believe the lie that happiness is one step away, you stop being desperate. You stop being controlled. And in that freedom, you find something deeper than pleasure. Peace. The truth is brutal, but it is also liberating. Because the man who sees through desire can never again be enslaved by it.